Today, on call-out, Nelson Search and Rescue raced to the scene of a helicopter crash.
It should take us about 35 minutes to get to Creston. The boat goes about 50 miles an hour, so it's not too bad. It's a calm day.
And later, RCMP dive team rookies search for hidden explosives under a pier in Nenuse Bay, British Columbia.
Searching for something. Could be an IED, could be a piece of evidence, couldn't be anything.
Wednesday, 4:35 p.m. Nelson Search and Rescue cuts through the glossy calm of Kootenay Narrows en route to a marine rescue.
Nelson Search and Rescue's been called out for marine rescue for a downed helicopter in the Creston area. We're just putting our crew together right now and heading out on the water. Little information right now, just that helicopter's in 30, 40 feet of water. I don't know how long ago it crashed. Most likely we're going to be just doing support for RCMP dive team or what have you. So get out there as fast as we can and we'll see what goes on.
The downed aircraft is a Robinson R44 helicopter that was flown by a trainee helicopter pilot on a solo flight. The Creston RCMP received a call reporting the helicopter overdue. Soon after, a farmer reported a possible crash in the Kootenay River located between Kootenay Lake and Duck Lake in the Creston Valley. Nelson Search and Rescue are en route along the west arm of Kootenay Lake.
Search and rescue, Nelson SAR. It should take us about 35 minutes to get to Creston. The boat goes about 50 miles an hour, so it's not too bad. It's a calm day. We're heading up the West Kootenay Arm right now. It's pretty narrow, not much wind through here, so the waves are good. Should make good time. Creston SAR base, Nelson 31. How you copy now?
As we were coming up the river, we found quite a bit of debris, and all the way along there was an oil slick. And it was very obvious, and we were following it, until we got 3 or 4 kilometers up the river. The police were on the shore saying that this was the general area that they had found the pilot's helmet and some debris of the helicopter. And at that point, we noticed that the oil slick had stopped.
The team begins to search the area for clues to the whereabouts of the downed helicopter.
Oh, look at the slick here, eh?
We could see the Buffalo aircraft from the 442 squadron flying overhead, circling. There was also private aircraft out there.
That's a PFD, or a first aid kit.
Oh, look at the oil here. Did we have that little pike pole?
Grab the pike pole from the back.
We saw a lot of debris floating in the water, mainly quite a large fuel slick on the surface.
There's an oil filter right there in the water.
We really keyed in that we were on it when we found an oil container that actually was for aviation oil, gear oil of some sort. We did a couple of grid searches here and there across with the boat. It really got to a spot where we could actually see fuel coming up to the surface and, expanding on the top. We had reports of debris strewn out of a large area, upstream maybe 5 kilometers and downstream 2 kilometers. If gear oil was coming to the surface, the motor must be down there. That's where the fuselage will be, which didn't make a lot of sense to us. I mean, how did this aircraft crash here and have these pieces go so far away? We realized, collectively that we needed to confirm that this was the position of the aircraft. The fuselage was down there.
To locate the fuselage, the team first determines where the oil is reaching the surface. Then they position upstream, calculating the distance the current would have moved the oil on its journey from the river bottom. The team prepares to lower their onboard underwater cameras to see if they can spot the wreckage below.
Oh, that's good. I like it. It's perfect.
It's kind of an eerie feeling because you're looking at these screens, at all this stuff underwater, and all of a sudden out of the gloomy darkness, you see a bright red piece of something. It's like, whoa, okay, this is real. We continued to move the cameras around, coming across bigger and bigger pieces, until we actually got one of the cameras hooked up on a piece of something. After moving the boat back and forth on the anchor line, trying to reposition the line so we could get the camera jarred free. When it came free, we actually bounced up over top of the actual fuselage of the aircraft. We had found the helicopter.
There's no doubt that this is the crash site, but has the pilot made it out alive?
We had mixed reports about footprints on the bank. Did the pilot survive this? Is he out somewhere in the estuary or the swamps looking for help? The search is still going on. The next step of this is to actually find the pilot, either on land or confirm that he's with that aircraft or with that wreckage. We continued with the drop cameras. It was really just by sheer luck. On one of our passes, the camera actually came down and landed on a piece of fabric. We had wiggled it around it a bit, but we kind of made it stop. Got everyone to look at it and say, okay, could this be a headliner in the helicopter, a fabric from a seat, or could it be clothing? We kind of didn't want to lose the position. We could bounce the camera off and lose that whole thing and have to go back and search and search. So we decided to move it one more time. We lifted the camera up and let it back down, and it landed pretty much in the pilot's lap. We could see his legs. We could see that he was wearing shorts. We could see a shoe. This changes everything. At that point, we called in to base, told them that the search is over. You know, we had a code 4 subject. Terminate the search. It's Thursday morning about 9 a.m. Yesterday, late in the evening, we found the helicopter, got our drop cameras down on it. We're able to see that the pilot was inside still. We're with the RCMP dive team this morning. We're going to head back out to the site and do the recovery.
We've been called to assist the Creston Detachment with the recovery of a helicopter crash a short distance away from here.
Hey Dale, we're good.
Our job now is to video the entire scene as best we can. Our investigations assist the coroner in determining the reasons for the fatality. We'll also assist Transport Canada to determine cause of the crash if at all possible, recovery of any kind of equipment and the debris, also to recover the victim. And that's really our main goal, is to get the victim back to the family for closure.
This is where the aircraft is located, the blue buoy in the middle between the two boats. The helicopter's about 45 feet deep.
The dive team goes down to record images of the crash site. Though much of the helicopter fuselage is here in the river, completely demolished, other parts of the aircraft are spread out over 7 kilometers.
As you can see, the impact was quite hard. There's a piece of a fuselage here. You can see the distance that it was thrown from the actual aircraft, which is over there.
And then there's the mast is still standing upright. There's one main rotor that's coming off, and it's broken about here and comes straight down. This part of the chopper is all exposed and flattened. Once it hit the water, it would have gone straight down, but by then, like I said...
Now that documentation was done of the crash for Transport Canada, the RCMP had contacted the coroner and gotten permission to actually remove and actually do the recovery of the body. They dove down with a bag and packaged the subject under the water and brought him to the surface. Now, most teams, recovery work's not done by everyone. We usually have a few senior people. We've done it several times. They're used to it. They found they're okay with it. They tend to be the ones that do it. Now that the recovery's been completed, this is territory we don't always enter into very often. How to remove an aircraft that's in 41 feet of water with another aircraft and get it to shore. We're going to use another aircraft with a long line system, put a 150-foot cable. We would have one of the divers go down, hook a heavy strap to the actual rotor assembly, brings that strap to the surface so that when the helicopter comes in, they can hold it, connect the two, and then everyone can get out of the way while he hovers there. Once everyone's clear, we lift the aircraft out of the water very slow. Now, there's some danger involved with this. The aircraft itself isn't really that heavy. It's all broken up into the bottom, but it may hold a lot of water, which is. Plus, it's broken apart, so when it comes out of the water, there's debris that could fall from it. We had a fair bit of weather blowing through the valley at that time, too. There was quite some heavy thunder and lightning, so there was a lot of environmental things that we had to be aware of.
Once we lifted the helicopter up, the fuselage was extremely damaged. The main blades, one was broken right off, the other was bent right around, and it was obvious the tail rotor was missing too. So that was key to transport to find that tail rotor. So we came back the next day, and further down the river actually, we found the tail rotor. So our good results of our searching.
The helicopter crash is under investigation. Why the debris was spread over such a distance and how the crash occurred are yet to be determined.
It's always unfortunate when a rescue results in a fatality, but in this particular case, we found the subject, we found the aircraft. The circle's complete.
Tuesday, 2 p.m., Nenuse Bay, British Columbia. A team of RCMP divers is searching for hidden explosives. Their goal? Locate the explosives, or determine with certainty that there are none. Lives could depend on it. This is an exercise. These RCMP dive recruits are conducting a pier search. They have until the end of the day to perfect their dive formation and find every explosive hidden under the pier.
For this particular course, we've planted a number of scenario-based objects. If they fail to locate those, or if for a variety of reasons they're unable to complete the search, they'd have to do it again.
It's a challenging task. These guys are regular police force without a lot of dive experience.
This initial course that all police divers have to go to is a 4-week basic course. And this is 4 weeks of diving virtually every day but one over 4 weeks. So we really take these divers that have a moderate level of skill and we take them from being a diver to a working diver.
The RCMP does not have full-time divers. When a dive call comes in, they will leave their regular duties to join up with the rest of the team and travel to the dive site. As members of URT, the Underwater Recovery Team, their main role is recovery, be it bodies or evidence. They also document underwater crime scenes with video and photos.
Our divers are expected to receive a call. Sometimes it might be a day to get everyone to a remote location and then perform an operation. We don't have the same time restrictions that a fire department walking into a burning building is going to have.
While it may not be an emergency, it's usually in less than ideal diving circumstances.
People don't choose a really great spot to throw away evidence, or the spots that aircrafts or bodies might need to be recovered are not in the best of spots. You might be entering your dive site through a swamp and slough, and so the training is mirroring that. The training basically says, listen, diving is not easy, and this course isn't easy.
Not easy is an understatement. Becoming a police diver is a 24-hour-a-day commitment.
I just finished an induction course, and some members came up on the induction course and they were surprised at the hours. And during the course, I asked the candidates, after they'd been with us for 4 weeks, what a short day was. And a short day was determined to be from about 7:30 in the morning till 7 at night. Normal to long days can go longer than that.
If it's a pier, like Valentine's Pier...
It's 7 in the morning. The trainees are getting a complete rundown on pier search dive theory.
Once you've reached the surface, you're going to fully inflate your BCD.
The team loads up hundreds of pounds of gear in preparation for their trip to the dive site.
Full scuba equipment, complete with their AGA masks, lines, ropes, first aid equipment. They're all trained in the use of oxygen, AEDs, and various first aid and rescues.
All this preparation mimics real-world situations, where hours and sometimes days could be spent setting up for a dive. Unlike recreational divers, URT members usually dive alone, with support from the surface.
Divers have to be trained to rescue themselves and to rescue other team members. We have to include in that training all the issues that could come up and the problems that there could be.
Today's exercise will simulate a rare team-based operation. If one member fails to find the explosive at his depth, the whole team must repeat the exercise. Teams will receive a score of C for competent or NI for needs improvement, which will force them to repeat the dive. In rare cases, If an individual does something extremely dangerous or is unable to demonstrate competency, he or she will receive a U.
If they were to get a U, that means that they are done for the course and they are cleared of all diving duties and will be returning to their home unit.
So on fourth for the last guy.
At the dive site, instructor Dave Smith goes over last-minute prep with the dive team.
Number 1 sets the pace. Number 6 or 7, who's on the top, sets the pattern.
So we've set everybody up, and then number 1 on the bottom gives a pull or says go.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
On dry land, they go through their operations horizontally.
It's always interesting to watch this get started because dry land's one thing, and then you get them underwater, and they're in their bubbles. They also have a job to do to pay attention to the pier. Everything changes underwater. So.
When the divers are all geared up, Staff Sergeant Broussard reinforces the purpose of this exercise.
We're not going to get into how to deal with an IED. That's your explosive recognition course. All right? We simply here are searching for something. Could be an IED, could be a piece of evidence, couldn't be anything. So focus on technique and focus on what you're looking for. And you know, it doesn't have to be perfect the first time around. You've got a couple of dives to get this right.
Staff Sergeant Broussard leads the way to the pier.
Well, it's a challenge. I mean, you know, you think about some of the stuff the teams search for. Water, poor visibility, huge three-dimensional environment. When you find something, that's like a high five because it's not very easy.
Constable Mark Smith of the Nanaimo RCMP is prepping for his first pier search.
The dive today can get very complicated very fast. You have a number of divers moving in one direction, trying to make sure that everybody's doing not only their job, which is observing the pier, but maintaining a dressing so that no one's left behind or no one's falling too far ahead.
The first team hits the water. In the pier search exercise, a team of divers is stacked along a line from the surface to the bottom, 25 meters down. The challenge is to angle the line 45 degrees to do a sweep of the pier. 3 instructors are underwater to evaluate each team's formation, communication, and dressing, whether or not the team is spaced evenly along the line. Divers can control this using their buoyancy control systems. Time is a factor. The deeper a diver goes, the more nitrogen they absorb and the more air they consume. The diver at the bottom can only stay down for 25 minutes maximum. As the divers begin the operation, the line is too vertical. The bubbles released by the lower divers are hitting the higher divers, throwing off their buoyancy and visibility. The dressing is uneven. Some divers now have a much larger search area than others.
Yeah, I know, but the pattern's going like this, so just try to swim a little faster. And you gotta get a bit ahead of the pattern.
A diver at 12 meters spots something unusual. It's one of the IEDs. In a real operation, the team would surface and call in a bomb tech to handle the explosive device. For the purposes of this exercise, they finish the sweep of the pier before they surface for debriefing. The first dive yielded some success.
We found an improvised device that was strapped to a pier.
However, they have some issues to work on.
The line was running almost straight up and down through most of the dive, and the line needs to be running at a 45-degree angle. The other thing they're going to have to do is tighten up their pattern a bit. They had gaps of 10 or 12 feet between some guys and about 20 between others, which means that you may have gaps in your search pattern. So they'll have to tighten that up a little bit as well.
The team heads back into the water for their second dive. By 7:30 this evening, after 3 dives and thorough debriefings, the recruits successfully completed the pier search exercise.
We tell all our dive team members that every operation has to be successful. For example, if an investigator calls and wants an area searched, And at the end of that search, the dive team can say with certainty that all the evidence has been found or there was no evidence there. Either way, it's a successful operation.
Call-Out Search and Rescue features real stories filmed live by search and rescue teams during actual missions. Find out more at calloutsar.tv.